Part 2. My future sister-in-law said my mother's wedding dress wasn't good enough for her family. I then discovered she had been creating fake text messages to break up my engagement while secretly sabotaging my wedding behind my back. Without bothering to ring the doorbell, she'd given me a key months ago for wedding planning emergencies. I went straight to her office. I found her surrounded by wedding magazines and vendor catalogs, looking up with mild annoyance when I burst in, as if I was interrupting something important. "I just came from Mrs. Chen's," I said, my voice shaking. "Want to explain why you tried to bribe her to destroy my mother's dress?" Victoria didn't even flinch. She carefully marked her place in the magazine she was reading before looking up at me. "Oh, that. I was hoping to handle this more elegantly." "Elegantly? You tried to destroy the only piece of my mother I have left." She sighed, like I was a child having a tantrum. "Look, I understand you have some sentimental attachment to that old dress. But you're joining an important family now. We have standards to maintain, appearances to consider. That dress, while I'm sure it was lovely in its time, simply isn't appropriate for a Phillips family wedding." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "It's my wedding, Victoria. Mine and James's. Not yours, not your family's." "That's where you're wrong," she said, standing up. "The moment James proposed, it became a family event. The Phillips name carries weight in this city. We have responsibilities, expectations to meet. That dress," she gestured dismissively at the garment bag in my arms, "is something you'd see at a backyard wedding, not a society event. I'm trying to help you fit in properly. Really, you should be grateful." The casual cruelty in her voice, the way she dismissed something so precious to me, made something snap inside. Grateful? For trying to destroy my mother's dress behind my back? For going behind my back to vendors? For trying to take over every single aspect of my wedding? Victoria walked over to a cabinet and pulled out a glossy lookbook. "I've already ordered you a Vera Wang. Much more suitable. Trust me, once you see it, you'll understand why I did this. Sometimes we have to be cruel to be kind." James was horrified when I told him what happened. For the first time, he saw how manipulative his sister had been. He immediately called their parents and told them everything. His mother was shocked. She had no idea Victoria had been behaving this way. Apparently, Victoria had been telling them that I was the one insisting on all the expensive changes, painting herself as the helpful sister just trying to make my dreams come true. Now everything's a mess. James's parents are mortified by Victoria's behavior and have insisted on paying for the original wedding we planned. Victoria's been banned from all wedding planning activities, but she's telling everyone who'll listen that I'm trying to drive a wedge between her and her family. She's even started posting cryptic messages on social media about gold diggers who pretend to be simple and family betrayal. I'm hurt and confused. James has been incredibly supportive, but I can see how much this situation is paining him. We're supposed to get married in 2 months, and instead of feeling excited, I'm anxious about what Victoria might do next. Update 1. The past week has been absolute chaos. After my last post, my inbox was flooded with messages from people sharing their own experiences with Victoria. What I discovered made my blood run cold. This wasn't just about my wedding. It was a pattern of behavior going back years. Sarah, my future cousin-in-law, asked to meet me privately at a cafe far from the family's usual spots. She was nervous, constantly checking over her shoulder as if afraid Victoria might appear. Then she revealed that Victoria had done something similar at her wedding 3 years ago. "It started small," Sarah explained, stirring her untouched coffee. "Victoria offered to help with planning, just like with you. But when I wanted a rustic barn wedding instead of her suggested country club venue, things started going wrong. The accidents began 2 months before Sarah's wedding. Their original venue, a beautiful historic barn they booked a year in advance, suddenly cancelled. The owner claimed they were double booked, even though Sarah had written confirmation of their date. They lost their deposit and had to scramble to find a new venue. Next, their photographer's office was broken into, and only their deposit paperwork was missing. The photographer felt terrible but couldn't hold their date without proof of payment. Even their cake order was mysteriously changed from Sarah's grandmother's cherished recipe to a trendy deconstructed design Victoria had suggested. The worst part was the dress shop incident, Sarah said, her voice shaking. My grandmother's veil, which 4 generations of brides had worn, disappeared from the alterations shop. The security cameras mysteriously malfunctioned that day. We never found it. Sarah had always suspected Victoria but could never prove anything. She kept quiet to keep peace in the family, something she now deeply regrets. After hearing about what Victoria tried to do to my mother's dress, Sarah finally broke her silence and told James's parents everything. But the revelations didn't stop there. James's childhood friend Mike reached out after seeing Victoria's recent social media posts about me. His message made my heart stop. "You need to know what Victoria's been saying about you and James. It's worse than you think." We met Mike at his office after hours. He pulled out his tablet and showed us dozens of screenshots, apparent text conversations between him and James. In these messages, James expressed serious doubts about marrying me. The text painted me as a gold digger who was playing up the loss of my mother for sympathy. At first, I thought James was having real doubts, Mike admitted. But something felt off. James has never used emojis in his life, but these texts were full of them. Plus, he kept using phrases like totally desperate and what a mess. That's not how James talks. Mike, who works in cybersecurity, did some digging. He discovered Victoria had been using a sophisticated text spoofing app to create fake conversations.